Shabbat Shalom class, Shabbat Shalom to everybody online. First off, I'd like to start by giving all praise, glory, and honor to the Most High Yahweh, in the name of His only begotten Son, Yahawahshi, who the world ignorantly calls Christ. To those of you online, this is the Hebrew Chosen Elect Sabbath service class. Today what we're going to be going over is, we're going to be going into a reading in the book of First Matthew. We'll be going into the Feast of Dedication, right? While the world is celebrating Thanksgiving and Christmas and all their folly days, the season of madness and wickedness, the true holidays that we're supposed to be kept are in the Bible. And as of this day coming up next week, it's the Feast of Dedication. To start, get that account of Christ. Oh, yeah. Keeping the Feast of Dedication. Because the world teaches that Christmas, that's the birth of Christ. The lies that come with that. Right? But that's when Christ was born. And that's how you give homage and serve Christ, by keeping Christmas. By putting trees up in your home, lights around your house, and serving. Going to the scriptures, the Most High gave us holidays. And even Christ, he kept those holidays that were given in the law. And then he also kept this holiday that we're going to read about and get the history of in First Maccabees. And we got to ask ourselves, to those of you that don't already know, if Christ kept Hanukkah, why aren't we keeping Hanukkah? Why are we keeping Christmas? If Christ kept Hanukkah and he kept the holidays in the Bible, why are we celebrating Christ Day? Because that's the new lie and doctrine out and madness going on in Israel. Is we got Israelites eating pork and celebrating Thanksgiving and calling it Christ's New Day. And this is all wickedness. And these are the things that we have to come out of, and also was prophesied. This is how we know that we're in the last days.
Like, how could you read the account that we read last week? We read that, we went through it, and Eleazar, he refused to even pretend that he was eating some pork. And then we got some Israelite camp out here, he got a table full of pork and dedicating Thanksgiving to Yahawahshi, Yahawahshi. And that's fine. It almost made me throw up looking at that, man. Like, how could you even think and begin to think that you could do that? Your ancestors were so content with keeping the law that you go and sit at the table and eat some pork that was said to be unlawful to you. And be proud of it. And then be mad because brothers made a rebuke video of that. That's foolishness. And then call yourself King David. And then something King David would do. Like you honorable or something. It's just madness.
God. It is madness. And it was already prophesied. So, it's a sign of the last days. But first, we're going to go to Jude and see that. First, let's get that account of Christ keeping dedication. What you got? This is the book of John, chapter 10, verse 22 and 23. And it was at Jerusalem, the feast of dedication. And it was winter. And Yahawahshi walked in the temple in Solomon's porch. See, it was winter. The time we're in winter now. And the feast that Christ kept, our Savior, was the Feast of Dedication. That's right. So if our Savior, who we're supposed to follow his example, kept Feast of Dedication, then we should all be keeping dedication coming up this Saturday, next Saturday coming up. The whole world should be keeping the Feast of Dedication, not the holiday of Christmas. We got Israelites that are keeping Christmas and Thanksgiving and now renaming them after the Lord. They're mockers. And this was prophesied that you would know you're in the last days by seeing these things happen in the earth. And we can see that in the book of Jude it's only one chapter. Jude verse 18, we'll start at 17 to 19, and I'm going to read it. This is exactly why you have Israelites celebrating heathen customs and holidays, knowing better, coming out of the world. And you can also see why the world walks to the beat that they walk to and keeps the folly days, Christmas and Thanksgiving and Easter and all those things. Jude chapter 17, it reads, "But beloved, remember ye the words of our Lord Yahawahshi Mashiach, how that they told you there should be mockers in the last time, who should walk after their own ungodly lusts. These be they who separate themselves sensual, having not the Spirit." And that's the answer right there. That's why we see the madness that we see in the earth. The people in the world and now the people that have fallen out of the truth and go back to this madness and change wicked holidays to something that represents the Lord. And we know that that's not true.
Con. And this guy, there's no way he could have been in the spirit sitting there eating pork and getting your congregation to eat pork and follow after this madness. That shows you don't have the spirit at all doing something like that. You led away by your own diverse lust. You lustful enough to want to eat this swine that you're going to lead your whole congregation away from keeping the laws of that's in this Bible.
Yeah, so as Israelites is coming back to the truth, coming back to keeping the ways of the Most High, we know that we have to keep the Feast of Dedication.
Come.
So to get the history and to know exactly why and what we're celebrating, we're going to go into the first book of Maccabees. We're going to read about our forefathers. And we're going to read about the mighty acts that they did, the torments that they had to face. And we're going to see how these things came about. Because the same people that made up the folly days now is the same people that had our people in captivity in BC times. And that's where we're going to get the history of the Feast of Dedication. When the Greeks conquered our people, the Israelites, back in BC time, and they took the temple and they polluted the temple, and then we took it back and rededicated it, and that's how we had the Feast of Hanukkah.
Yeah, you read first.
Read first? Okay, I got it. So to start the reading, we're going to go to the first book of Maccabees, chapter 1, and we're going to start at verse 1. And it reads, "And it happened that Alexander, the son of Philip, the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Chittim, had smitten Darius, king of the Persians and Medes, that he reigned in his stead, the first over Greece, and made many wars and won many strongholds, and slew the kings of the earth, and went through the ends of the earth, and took spoils of many nations, insomuch that the earth was quiet before him. Whereupon he was exalted, and his heart was lifted up." So we all know the history, or we've all heard of Alexander the Great. That's one thing we was taught in school, but in school we was taught how great he was. What a great historical figure he was. But as we see here in the scriptures, when Alexander the not great began to reign, evils were multiplied in the earth. So off top, we already see we're breaking down lies that we're taught as children in school. Alexander the Great wasn't great for anything. He was wicked, and he was a sodomite.
Come.
And he died from gonorrhea. What they say, he was having relations with his horse? Little boys. But still, he was a homosexual. And this is the people that we follow and get these holidays from. But we see here when we go into the scriptures and we go into the true word, we find that Alexander is the start of many evils. Back to verse 4. "And he gathered a mighty strong host and ruled over countries and nations and kings who became tributaries unto him. And after these things he fell sick and perceived that he should die. Wherefore he called his servants, such as were honorable and had been brought up with him from his youth, and parted his kingdom among them, while he was yet alive. So Alexander reigned 12 years, then died. And his servants bare rule every one in his place. And after his death they all put crowns upon themselves. So did their sons after them many years. And evils were multiplied in the earth." So I think I jumped the gun on that. But this is when evils were multiplied in the earth. And Alexander the not great passed away, and he passed his kingdom down to his four basically top generals that were brought up within his house.
And Salakia, and what they was doing, they was spreading Greek culture all throughout their empire. So everybody was picking up the customs, and they was doing the way that the Greeks was doing, like such as fraternities. They was spreading homosexuality. They was having sex with animals, so on and so forth. And they was doing this from Punjab, India, all the way down into Alexandria, Egypt, all the way up to modern day Greece and Rome, which they was called Macedonia at the time. So this is the things that Alexander was spreading throughout his kingdom, you know, and that's why the wickedness was multiplied in the known earth at that time. Go ahead.
Salakia, can we get a time frame when this happened? We know it was before Christ, but like an idea what time this was happening from.
For Alexander?
Yeah, like, what time frame?
Third century BC.
The 3rd century
Around
BC?
330, yeah.
Yeah, so basically 300 years before Christ.
Yeah.
Got you.
Yeah, so, and also we see that these kings, they put crowns on themselves. They put crowns on themselves. They were exalting themselves. This is what Esau does. He exalts himself. And they had gained rule over the world. How they gained it? By the sword. What was Esau given? The sword. But who was the earth given into the hands of? The wicked, the Israelites. So we're going to read, this is the next conquest that they had. They've taken over the world, and next is time to get them Jews that the world hates. Verse 10. And there came out of them a wicked root, Antiochus, surnamed Epiphanes, son of Antiochus the king.
And this was Antiochus the fourth.
Antiochus the fifth.
Salakia. And he had named himself Epiphanes, which was meant he thought he was God on earth. You know what I mean? That's how wicked he was. And they was doing all this foul homosexuality and bestiality, and he exalted himself as God on earth. You know what I mean? That's like a slap to the Most High's face right there. They say God manifested. Yeah, pretty much.
And
that's what the name means or whatever. Yeah.
And we started with Alexander the Great, the not great, right? That was around the time of 356 BC. So now it's jumped in time a few hundred, like almost 200 years. Now we got Antiochus on the scene, and it's the year 164 BC, give or take. That's when he died. So we've jumped almost a couple hundred years. And back to verse 10. Of son of Antiochus the king, who had been in hostage in Rome. And he reigned in the 137th year of the kingdom of the Greeks. So see, it started with Alexander the Great. We're now 130 years later in the 37th year of the kingdom of the Greeks. In those days there went out of Israel wicked men who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us. And this is perfect for what we're seeing today.
Con, I was going to say that too.
I know you were. Yeah.
You got like right now you got coons who were selling their people out. You got your people getting sold out right here under the Greek captivity. You know, like your Jesse Jackass or Al Sharptongue selling your people out, leading them to the slaughter, trying to get you to be a Democrat or a Republican and sell you people down the line, or Ben Carson, so to speak. You know what I mean? Somebody like that. And once you decide with these Greeks to take on the Greek customs and stuff, you had the same sellouts going on in this situation right here. They want to do just like the Greeks was doing.
And even back to what we already mentioned earlier, since we keep mentioning it, if no one's aware, Thanksgiving Day there was Israelites who know the truth, who know the right ways, who supposedly came out of the world and back to the Most High God, who kept the Thanksgiving, and they called it Christ Day. And they were eating all types of abomination, pork. Like every platter had pork in it. It's redundant. Like it's crazy. It's almost like it was intentional. Like they was like, oh, look what they doing over there. These Israelites, they dress funny, they act funny, they think they're somebody now. You know, let's act like we're on the same time, and let's deceive the people. Let's bring in people too and teach them keep the ways of the wicked, that they don't gotta follow the Bible. Let's try to copy what they're doing, but let's keep multiplying the wickedness that's already in the earth. It's almost like it's intentional. That's why I wanted to go to that verse on there should be mockers. It's almost like they're mocking. Like it doesn't feel very sincere. They don't even have fringes on their shirt. But to somebody that doesn't know any better, somebody that's in Christianity or Islam, and they wake you up and you don't know nothing, you just learning from scratch. So you're learning from these wicked men that know it's not right, that know that it's evil as hell, but they're going to deceive many more. And it's
imagine somebody just coming in the truth right now. And these are the people that they learn the so-called truth from. They learn that they can keep Thanksgiving from these people and that you can keep all this defiled food and defile your soul amongst your people and still declare that you're an Israelite. That's folly right there, man. And that's the same thing they was teaching us, the same they was teaching during this Greek time. They might as well just say that they're Greeks.
What is beautiful about it, though, the silver lining is they didn't even have the Most High's name spelled right on their shirt. They didn't even have Yahawahshi's name spelled right on their shirt. So they don't even got that. So that's the one thing you can take out of it, right? But look, check this out. And this is why they did it. For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow. So these wicked Israelites that depart from the world, depart from the heathen, they don't find joy in that. They don't see it as a gift to be brought into the light. So it's sorrowful after that. So now what? That's why you're reverting back to the old way.
They didn't see it as a gift to be set apart and holy like we supposed to be set apart and holy, so to speak.
Time. So what's up? What you got?
Judith 5:20.
Oh, yeah.
Get it real quick.
All that again?
Judith 5:20.
Judith 5:20.
21.
Oh, you know what? Hold that. I'm already going there.
Okay.
I'm about to go there. That's spirit. So, back to verse 12. So this device pleased them well. Then certain of the people were so forward herein that they went to the king, who gave them license to do after the ordinances of the heathen. And drop down to, that's verse 13. No, verse 14. Slaki. Whereupon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem, according to the customs of the heathen. And what are they doing now? They're going back to the world and they're trying to do what? The customs of the heathen. It's the same as it was then. It's the same today. It's just a different color. It's the same cloth, a different color.
Or you got people that's going to cemetery school, like Brother Yael said. They going in there and they trying to learn how to teach the Bible the way that the heathen teach the Bible. And they in all these churches teaching them to keep the customs of the heathen. It's okay for you to celebrate all these holidays. It's okay for you to eat swine. It's okay to bring everything under the sun to another God in the church. And you put that as partner with Yahawahshi. That's all madness, man. And that's what they all seeking license to do right here too.
Time, definitely. Verse 15. And made themselves uncircumcised, and forsook the holy covenant. And that's what you just broke down. They're making themselves uncircumcised again. And this time, these men would actually go and get a surgery to physically become uncircumcised again. That's how crazy our people get when it comes to keeping the old ways. By reverting back to the old man. We'll do anything to follow the heathen. We'll do anything to follow their ways before the truth. And then when we lose that spirit, we'll do anything, we'll go back. It's like the scripture said, you clean out your house, the spirit leaves and comes back, sees it clean and swept, and you add 7 more evil spirits to yourself. That's what our people was doing then, and now we're seeing it still today. The same thing going on. So they forsook the holy covenant and joined themselves to the heathen, and were sold to do mischief. Drop down to verse 20. And after that Antiochus had smitten Egypt, he returned again in the 143rd year, and went up against Israel and Jerusalem with a great multitude, and took away the golden altar and the candlestick of light and all the vessels thereof. So this is important to history because this is going into the Feast of Dedication, right? So what had happened was there was a time of peace. We read about that last week, I believe. There was a time of peace because we as a people, we were keeping the laws, and the Most High had us living in peace as he promised, right? So now, the Antiochus in the 140, what year did I say? Did the reading say? 43rd year. Now they're coming against Israel and Jerusalem. This is the history of our people and against the Greeks. The same people that have us in captivity today. This is the history in ancient times. And they came against, where am I at? 20. Israel and Jerusalem with a great multitude and entered proudly into the sanctuary and took away the golden altar and the candlestick of light and the vessels thereof, and the table of the showbread, and the pouring vessels, and the vials, and the censers of gold, and the veil, and the crowns, and the golden ornaments that were before the temple, all which he pulled off. He took also the silver and the gold, and the precious vessels. Also he took the hidden treasures which he found. And when he had taken all away, he went into his own land, having made a great massacre, and spoken very proudly. Therefore there was great in Israel, in every place where they were, so that the princes, the virgins, and young men were made feeble, and the beauty of women was changed. Every bridegroom took up lamentation, and she that sat in the marriage chamber was in heaviness. The land also was moved for the inhabitants thereof, and all the house of Jacob was covered with confusion. And after 2 years fully expired, the king sent his chief collector of tribute unto the cities of Judah, who came unto Jerusalem with a great multitude, and spake peaceable words unto them, but all was deceit. For when they had given him credence, he fell suddenly upon the city, and smote it very sore, and destroyed much people.
And all this came upon us because we wanted to do just like the heathen was doing. We had people that was persuading us, we was defiled, and the Most High wasn't going to protect us if we were doing like these Grecians were doing, keeping their customs and all that stuff. So that's when you should go to Judith right there.
No, I'm waiting until verse 41.
All right, go ahead.
We get it. So, but that's a fact, and that's what we read earlier, right? There was certain wicked men sold to do mischief, and it don't even take the whole nation. We're going to get punished as a people, and it don't even got to be everybody. You're going to have your what's it? The Most High told Elijah there's 7,000 that haven't bent the knee to buy up, but we get punished as a people. So that's why when we see our people going off, we got to rebuke that. We got to rebuke that. Where was that? Verse 30. And spake peaceable words unto them, but all was deceit. For when they had given him credence, he fell suddenly upon the city, and smote it very sore, and destroyed much people of Israel. And when he had taken the spoils of the city, he set it on fire, and pulled down the houses and walls thereof on every side. But the women and children took they captive, and possessed the cattle. Then builded they the city of David with a great and strong wall, and with the mighty towers, and made it a stronghold for them. And they put therein a sinful nation, wicked men, and fortified themselves therein. They stored it also with armor and victuals, and when they had gathered together the spoils of Jerusalem, they laid them up there, and so they became a sore snare. For it was a place to lie in wait against the sanctuary, and an evil adversary to Israel. Thus they shed innocent blood on every side of the sanctuary, and defiled it, insomuch that the inhabitants of Jerusalem fled because of them. Whereupon the city was made a habitation of strangers, and became strange to those that were born in her, and her own children left her. Her sanctuary was laid waste like a wilderness. Her feasts were turned unto mourning, her Sabbaths into reproach, her honor into contempt. And as had been her glory, so was her dishonor increased, and her excellency was turned into mourning. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people. And what's America built off of? Ain't it built off of being one people?
Melting pot.
It's the great melting pot. This was started thousands of years ago. These same people were doing this in the 100 and something BC time. From there, let's go to Daniel 6, verse 1 to 15. And we're going to see Daniel prophesying to these same Edomites. Book of Daniel chapter 6, verse 1 to 15. Got it?
Book of Daniel 6.
verse 1 to 15.
The book of Daniel, chapter 6, 1 to 15. It pleased Darius to set over the kingdom 120 princes, which should be over the whole kingdom, and over these 3 presidents, of whom Daniel was first, that the princes might give accounts unto them, and the king should have no damage. Then this Daniel was preferred above the presidents and princes because of an excellent spirit was in him. And the king thought to set him over the whole realm. Then the presidents and princes sought to find occasion against Daniel concerning the kingdom, but they could find none occasion, nor fault. For as much as he was faithful, neither was there any error or fault found in him. Then said these men, we shall not find any occasion against this Daniel, except we find it against him concerning the law of his power. Then these presidents and princes assembled together to the king and said thus unto him, King Darius lived
But real
forever.
quick, when they have a problem with the law, what did it say?
Then said these men, we shall not find occasion against this Daniel, except we find it against him concerning the law of his power.
You see that? So this is one thing that this is the purpose of that melting pot. That's the purpose why we went to Daniel. This was happening in this kingdom. All the nations know that becoming one people and having one set of laws and getting everybody off of the Most High's laws, that's going to keep the children of God out of power. They knew it then. In this kingdom, the same as Antiochus and the Greeks, and the same as today. That's why you have Thanksgivings, Christmases, New Year's, everything that Christianity, Islam, everything that goes against God. This is why. That melting pot. This is why. To keep you down, to keep you from getting back to reigning in your kingdom and reigning over the whole world. Keep going.
Then these presidents and princes assembled together to thus unto him, King Darius lived forever. All the presidents of the kingdom, the governors and the princes, the counselors and the captains have consulted together to establish a royal statute and to make a firm decree that whosoever shall ask a petition of any god or man for 30 days, save of thee, O king, he shall be cast into the den of lions. Now, O king, establish the decree and sign the writing, that it be not changed, according to the law of the Medes and Persians, which altereth not.
Go ahead.
Wherefore King Darius signed the writing.
You see that? The law, they're establishing their own laws. They're doing away with the Most High's laws. You see this? It's the same thing. They know what they're doing. Go ahead.
Wherefore King Darius signed the writing and the decree. Now when Daniel knew that the writing was signed, he went into his house, and his windows being open in his chamber toward Jerusalem, he knelt upon his knees 3 times a day, and prayed and gave thanks before his power, as he did aforetime. Then these men assembled and found Daniel praying and making supplication before his power. Then they came near and spake before the king concerning the king's decree. Hast thou not signed a decree that every man that shall ask a petition of any power or man within 30 days, save of thee, O king, shall he be cast into the den of lions? The king answered and said, the thing is true according to the law of Medes and Persians, which altereth not. Then answered they and said before the king that Daniel, which is of the children of the captivity of Judah, regardeth not thee, O king, nor the decree that thou hast signed, but maketh his petition 3 times a day. Then the king, when he heard these words, he was sore displeased with himself, and set his heart on Daniel to deliver him. And he labored till the going down of the sun to deliver him.
And we kind of talked about this last week. Trust not your enemies. Why don't you trust your enemies? Because your enemy will be your best friend, but he'll still deliver you up. This is why never trust your enemies. You know, but what's the saying in America though? Keep your enemies close and keep your friends close and your enemies closer. That ain't what the Bible says. But a Negro ain't going to know that if he's too busy listening to Tupac and Tekashi 6ix9ine and watching Folly on YouTube, social media, selling dope in his community. He don't know that. He thinks, yeah, let me keep my enemies close and my friends close, my enemies closer. Don't trust your enemies. They'll deliver you up.
Plus, these enemies here, they're trying to find him in folly by sabotaging him and keep away from the Most High's laws that he served as king. And this is not what Daniel's doing. Daniel, he's staying steadfast and serving the Most High, so he knows that by keeping the Most High's laws, he's going to have the Most High's protection.
Exactly, and that's exactly what they know. And you see it here. Keep going. He was at.
Then the king, when he heard these words, was sore displeased with himself and set his heart on Daniel to deliver him. And he labored till the going down of the sun to deliver him. Then these men assembled unto the king and said unto the king, Know, O king, that the law of the Medes and Persians is that no decree nor statute which the king established may be changed.
We can drop that. So they set themselves up really to be God. When these nations take over the world and they rule basically the world, they think they're God. And they do away with God's laws. God. And then we follow right in line through slavery and the curses for not keeping the commandments. From there, let's go to Judah chapter 5. We're going to start at 17. And we're going to see the same thing. We're going to see the heathens knowing that if we take them from their God, that we're being powered that way. So the heathen, they hate the laws of God. That's why they've established these religions that teach that the laws are done away with. The simple Negro falls right in line. Judah chapter 5, verse 17. I'll read it. And you get, if you could, additions of Esther 13, 1-7. Judah chapter 5, verse 17. And whilst they sinned before their God, they prospered. This is one of the heathens giving counsel on how to conquer Israel. And letting them know, whilst they sinned not before their God, they prospered, because the God that hateth iniquity was with them. But when they departed from the way which he had appointed them, they were destroyed in many battles, very sore, and were led captives into a land that was not theirs. And the temple of their God was cast to the ground, and their cities were taken by the enemies. But now are they returned to their God, and are come up from the places where they were scattered, and have possessed Jerusalem, where their sanctuary is, and are seated in the hill country, for it was desolate. Now therefore, my Lord and Governor, if there be any error in this people, and they sin against their God, let us consider that this shall be their ruin. And let us go up, and we shall overcome them. But if there be no iniquity in their nation, let my Lord now pass by, lest their Lord defend them, and their God be for them, and we become a reproach before all the world. See that? They know exactly what they're doing. This is why they hate God. This is why they hate the Bible. This is why they hate the word. You there?
And that's why they took the time out to spoil the people under the Grecian captivity, because they know they was going to be able to conquer them if they wasn't living under the Most High's laws, if they wasn't keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. So they went in there, they fought them, they had them eating pig meat, they was messing with harlots, they was giving tribute to Jupiter, Olympus. You know what I mean? They giving tributes to false gods and all type of stuff. So they was able to go in there and conquer and take the gold and take all spoils from them and even kill them. And the Most High wasn't going to protect us because we was going off. Then again, like I said, you had these coons selling you out. And then a lot of people, they was following behind these people because they was of high status. And the ones who was of large status, they was fighting back.
Definitely. Get that?
Where we at? Oh.
This is Esther. 13, 1-7.
The book of Esther, chapter 13, 7. The copy of the letters was this: the great King Xerxes wherewith these things to the princes and governors that are under him from India unto Ethiopia in 127 provinces. After that, I became Lord over many nations, and had dominion over the whole world, not lifted up with presumption of my authority, but carrying myself always with equity and mildness. I purpose to settle my subjects continually in a quiet life, and making my kingdom peaceable and open for passage to the utmost coast, to renew peace with Salakia, to renew peace which is desired of all men.
Read.
Now, when I asked my counselors how this might be brought to pass, Amen, that excelled in wisdom among us and was approved for his constant good, and steadfast fidelity.
Real quick, so pause that just real quick. So this is a letter. This is a letter giving directions to in the story of Esther, basically to kill the Jews. But I want to stop right there because if you know the story of Esther, it's all kicked off by Ammon, right? Ammon is a Macedonian. So real quick, this is Esther chapter 16, verse 10. And the reason I want to go there real quick is because the story, the Feast of Dedication, revolves around the Greeks, who started with Alexander the Not Great. And what did we read about Alexander the Not Great? That he was a what? A Macedonian. So if Ammon's an Edomite and he's a Macedonian, what does that prove? That the Greeks who are in power today were Edomites.
Come.
So real quick, this is Esther chapter 16, verse 10. For Ammon, a Macedonian, the son of Ammedatha, being indeed a stranger from the Persian blood, and far distant from our goodness, and as a stranger received of us. Even the heathen nations didn't really get all the way down with the Edomites. This king said that this Edomite is a stranger from our blood and distant from our goodness. This is what we're seeing about the Edomites, and this is what we're seeing about the Greeks. When they got their start, the same way they're evil today, they was evil then, and the same way they were Edomites then, guess what? They're Edomites today.
Come.
Back to where you was at. and the same way they hated us then, they hate us now, they hate us then. What's then is now and is to come. Everything repeats itself. Go ahead, Slaki.
Verse 6. Now, when I asked my counselors how this might be brought to pass, Ammon, that excelled in wisdom among us and was approved for his constant good, will in steadfast fidelity and had the honor of the second place in the kingdom, declared unto us that in all nations throughout the world there was scattered a certain malicious people that had laws contrary to all nations.
You see, Antiochus, he was of the same mind. That's why he wanted to make up new laws, and he wanted people to be one people. Go ahead.
Salakia, what address is that?
We're at Editions of Esther in the Apocrypha, chapter 13, and you're at what, verse 4?
No, it's at verse 4.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, my bad. It is 4.
Go ahead, pick it back up.
I thought I was at 6. I had scribbled over it with my highlighter. My apologies.
Oh, good.
I started at verse 4. I mean verse 3.
But,
Verse 4.
Yeah.
Declared unto us that in all nations throughout the world there was scattered a certain malicious people that had laws contrary to all nations.
See that? We have laws that are contrary to all nations. Go ahead.
And continually despise the commandments of kings.
Because we have one king. Read.
So as the uniting of our kingdoms honorably intended by us cannot go forward.
Well, they know that we can't have our kingdoms if we don't bring them into sin, so that their king rejects them. Go ahead.
Seeing then we understand that this people alone is continually in opposition unto all men, differing in the strange manner of their laws.
Our warfare is not carnal, but spiritual, to the pulling down the strongholds. What's that? The laws and the doctrines and philosophies set up by America. Go ahead.
And the difference that we had is that we set apart by keeping our laws and not following under these kings and not keeping their commandments. Differing in the strange manner of their laws and evil affected to our state, working all the mischief they can that our kingdom may not be firmly established. So the working of our law is mischief to any other nation's kingdom. Any other nation's kingdom. Because we're going to be protected by the Most High, and we're going to establish our rule when we keep in our laws.
And this is why slavery was so rough. This is why the civil rights.
Come.
This is why they are really evil intended. And remember, we're reading about the Edomites. Esau hated us then and hates us today. He's got that perpetual hatred. Go ahead. Verse 6.
Verse 6. Therefore have we commanded that all they that are signified in writing unto you by Amen, who is ordained over the affairs and is next unto us, shall all, with their wives and children, be utterly destroyed by the sword of their enemies without all mercy and pity. And the 14th day of the 12th month Adar of this present year, that they who of old and now also are malicious may in one day with violence go into the grave, and so ever hereafter cause our affairs to be well settled and without trouble.
And why are we seeing today? We're in captivity. Negroes. Like Charleston White said, we're nigger nation. What is the threat now? Why are we still malicious to them? Well, Isaiah 14. Let's get that real quick, then we're going to go back to 1 Maccabees. Because we're a destroyed people. What are we? Destroyed for lack of knowledge? Because we rejected the word? The Most High God has rejected us? But we're still hated. We're still persecuted. We're still seen as malicious people. Remember what Hillary Clinton said?
Super predators.
Super predators. Children are super predators. You come out the womb, you're an enemy to the state.
The brother Kalak sent a video out to the group chat where it said that this Jewish lady said that our young black male is the biggest threat to this country.
To the state of Israel.
To the state of Israel. Because we are true Israel.
Come. Isaiah 14 verse 1. We're going to read down to 3. For the Lord will have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Israel and set them in their own land. And the strangers shall be joined with them. And they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. And the people shall take them and bring them to their place. And the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids. And they shall take them captives, whose captives they were. And they shall rule over their oppressors. And it shall come to pass in that day that the Most High shall give them thee rest from thy sorrow, and from thy fear, and from the hard bondage wherein thou wast made to serve. And this is why even the trodden down people is malicious. Even the trodden down people is a threat. Back to 1 Maccabees chapter 1 verse 42. And this is why they want to keep it one kingdom. They want all nations in a melting pot. Con, when you there? Verse 42. Chapter 1 verse 42.
Start at 41.
I'll read 41 again. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people, and everyone should leave his laws. See that? The same thing we read in 4, we just left off from, in that same order. Let's get everybody to leave their laws. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king.
Salaki, it's like the predecessor to Babylon the Great right there. You know what I mean? Everybody going to leave their law. It's going to be the habitation of every unclean and hateful bird. You know what I mean? That's what he set it up for. That's the beginning of it right there with the Greco-Roman Empire. Go ahead.
Yea. Many also of the Israelites consented to his religion. What are most of our people doing today? Consenting to every religion that's not of God. Consenting to every ideology that's not of God. Consenting to every wicked deed that's not of God.
We in every religion. We in Jehovah's Witnesses. We Buddhists. We in Islam. We study more science. We 5%ers. You know, we the head of all of the folly and consenting to all of these different religions right there. We even consenting to all of these holidays, so you consent to all these different religions under all these different gods, and they doing it right there in your modern day church too, defiling the temples.
And doing this. and sacrifice unto idols, and profane the Sabbath. That's exactly what we do in these religions and philosophies and in America today. Profaning the Sabbath. Keeping Sunday as the Lord's day. Verse 44. For the king has sent letters by messenger unto Jerusalem and the cities of Judah, that they should follow the strange laws of the land. Why? Because then their God will not protect them. Verse 45. And forbid burnt offerings and sacrifice, and drink offerings in the temple, and that they should profane the Sabbaths and festival days, and pollute the sanctuary and holy people. Set up altars and groves and chapels of idols, and sacrifice swine's flesh.
Sacrifice what?
Swine's flesh.
Oh, man.
And unclean beasts. That they and what are our people doing today? Sacrificing swine's flesh, leaving the world and coming back to swine's flesh.
Having crab boils and throwing shrimp on the table, and we're going feasting. Come on, let's pray over this, and we're going to throw it up to God. But what God's throwing up to?
Verse 48. That they should also leave their children uncircumcised, and make their souls abominable with all manner of uncleanness and profanation, to the end they might forget the law and change the ordinances. You ain't got to keep the law no more. Christ did away with that, brother. Verse 50. And whosoever would not do according to the commandment of the king, he said he should die. In the selfsame manner wrote he to his whole kingdom, and appointed overseers over all the people, commanding the cities of Judah to sacrifice city by city. Then many of the people were gathered unto them, to wit, everyone that forsook the law, and so they committed evils in the land, and drove the Israelites into secret places, even wheresoever they could flee for succor. Now the 15th day of the month Caslu, in the 145th year, they set up the abomination of desolation upon the altar, and builded idol altars throughout the city of Judah on every side. So this is important. So leading up to Hanukkah, they came in, and inside the temple they set up the where am I?
54.
They came into the temple on the 15th day of the month Caslu. If you don't know, that's the month we're in now. Hanukkah is in the month of Caslu. So Hanukkah is the 25th day, and that would be what? Saturday, next Saturday? So subtract 10 days from next Saturday, and that's where they did it. 10 days from next Saturday. They set up the abomination of desolation. So what they do, they set up altars to sacrifice the swine and unclean beasts. And they also set up idols in the temple of God. They set up idols in the temple of God. And they was whoremongering. They was bringing women and having to do with women inside the temple. But we learned from them how to worship God today. The same people that ain't never cared, no God, ain't never worshiped the Most High God, ain't never kept his laws. That's where we're learning to keep religion today.
Plantation Christianity.
Verse 55. And burnt incense at the doors of their houses and in the streets. And when they had rent in pieces the books of the law which they found, in the spirit they're still doing that. That's what it is. Oh, you don't got to keep the laws. Oh, just the new cut your face. They're basically ripping the books of the law.
Oh, we don't need that apocrypha. We taking that out.
We're taking the apocrypha out. Why is that, and why? Because we're going to get in the apocrypha, and we're going to find their history out. We're going to find out what holiday we're supposed to be keeping in December instead of Christmas. New Year's. Verse 56, right?
Come.
And when they had rent in pieces the books of the law which they found, they burned them with fire. And wheresoever was found with any the book of the testament, or if any consented to the law, the king's commandment was that they should put him to death. What testament existed during this time? What we call the Old Testament. There was no New Testament. What testament are they telling us not to follow today? The Old Testament. As it was then, it is today. Verse 58. Thus did they by their authority unto the Israelites every month to as many as were found in the cities. Now the 5 and 20th day, what's that sound like? I'm going to ask the young men. I know the adults know it. What's the 5 and 20th day of December? The 25th? Christmas. All right. Well, we're reading about the 5 and 20th day of the month December in the kingdom of in the Greeks, America, when it started in BC time.
Con, and what they was doing, they was taking and they was putting up idols, and they was calling them Jupiter or Saturn, and it would have been called Saturnalia.
Saturnalia, and we're gonna get into that in the upcoming weeks. We're gonna have a festival class because we also got New Year's coming up, and we ain't at Christmas yet. So this is to get caught up on dedication, and then we can do a class on that.
Come.
Verse 60. I'm at 59. So now in the 5 and 20th day of the month, they did sacrifice upon the idol altar, which was upon the altar of God. At which time, according to the commandment, they put to death certain women that had caused their children to be circumcised. And they hanged the infants about their necks, and rifled their houses, and slew them that had circumcised them. Howbeit, many in Israel were fully resolved and confirmed in themselves not to eat any unclean thing. So if you was here or watching last week, we went over the story of Eleazar. We went over the 7 sons that they refused to eat swine's flesh and chose rather to die gloriously. So we're also reading it up here in 1 Maccabees chapter 1, which was going on when they started bringing the custom of Christmas to the Israelites, which is, like the brother just said, during that time it was called the Feast of Saturnalia. What we call Christmas today is just the Feast of Saturnalia with a bow tie on. Verse 63. Wherefore they chose rather to die, that they might not be defiled with meats, and that they might not profane the holy covenant. So then they died. And there was very great wrath upon Israel. From there, real quick, let's go to Luke 10, verse 19 to 21. And then Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 3.
When you read stuff like this, I don't know, like if you're a Christian and you just happen to pick up the Apocrypha, there's no way that you could think that it's okay for you to eat some swine. And you find out these people is your ancestors. Like, it's really, really hard to fathom that. Like, why would you want to put your mouth on some dirty pig, man? Or let alone that, man. We still eating chitlins in 2023, man. People still eating chitlins, man. They're proud of it. I seen on Facebook this
Wait, but they say they got the power of Christ. They say they got the power of Christ, though. But they do exactly what you just said. But what we just read, that's the power of Christ. What we read last week, that's the power of Christ. And that's what we're getting right here in Luke. Luke chapter 10, verse...
Hold on. You got something to say?
What's up?
In school, one of my teachers was bragging about how good his mom cooked chitlins.
Yeah, man. How good my mom stunk up the damn house. My mom stunk it up so good, but they was smacking. Man, crazy. Let's get that. You there? I'll read it. Get me Wisdom of Solomon 3, chapter 1. Chapter 3, verse 1. Luke chapter 10, verse 19. Behold, I give unto you power to tread on serpents and scorpions, and over all the power of the enemy, and nothing shall by any means hurt you. Notwithstanding, in this rejoice not, that the spirits are subject unto you, but rather rejoice, because your names are written in heaven. In that hour Yahawahshi rejoiced in spirit and said, I thank thee, O Father, that thou hast hid these things from the wise and prudent, and hast revealed them unto babes. Even so, Father, for so it seemeth good in thy sight. So we see here, these people had the power of Christ. You can tread on serpents. You can refuse the ways of the world. From there, we can grab that. I'm trying to go through these quick.
The book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 3, verse 1. But the souls of the righteous are in the hand of Yahweh, and there shall no torment touch them. In the sight of the unwise, they seem to die, and their departure is taken for misery. So this Eleazar, the 7 sons, they seemed to die, and their departure, it was taken for misery, but... And they're going from us to be utter destruction, but they are in peace. For though they be punished in the sight of men, yet is their hope full of immortality. And having been a little chastised, they shall be greatly rewarded, for Yahweh proved them and found them worthy for himself.
Go to 19. We're going to read through it.
As gold in the furnace have he tried them and received them as a burnt offering. And in the time of their visitation, they shall shine and run to and fro like sparks among the stubble. They shall judge the nations.
They shall what?
They shall judge the nations.
Why is this people still malicious even though we have them in captivity and they're the nigger nation?
They shall judge the nations and have dominion over the people, and their power shall reign forever. They that put their trust in him shall understand the truth, and such as be faithful in love.
And understand the truth. Hanukkah, not Christmas.
God.
Keeping Feast of Tabernacles, not Thanksgivings and Halloweens. Those that fear him, trust in him, understand the truth. So when we see our people that don't understand these things, and they say they trust God, know that they don't. Go ahead.
For grace and mercy is to his saints, and he have care for his elect.
For everybody.
For his elect.
Go ahead.
But the punished according to their own have neglected the righteous and forsaken Yahweh. For whosoever despises wisdom and nurture, he is miserable, and their hope is vain. Their labors unfruitful, and their works unprofitable. Their wives are foolish, and their children wicked.
And this, if everybody that knows about these fake brews, keeping Thanksgiving, eating pork, you're reading about them right now. They're really miserable. That brother's he's on dialysis or something and weighs 600, looks like about a 600-pound man. He can barely get around and taking joy in the pork. That's a judgment coming on him. And his wife sitting there feeding.
Or you see these celebrities and stuff, they done sold out. They pushing the music, cause influence and stuff. And they got unprofitable children being wicked and stuff like that too as well. And they got wicked wives. They living spoiled and stuff. They on basketball wife shows, loving hip hop. And they wives is wicked. They got a life that's unprofitable.
And that brother was bragging about being on dialysis. He said that this is the... Anyway, we ain't going to get into that. He said it's his...
Oh, he said it's blood sacrifice.
Yeah.
He said this is blood sacrifice. He said he just went and made a blood sacrifice.
We're supposed to accept our punishments and repent. Because we all get punishments.
Nah, man.
That brother, though, he's not repenting. He's going full force back into the world. Back to the heathen because he's been sorrowful since he came out of it. Go ahead, keep reading. We gotta go through it. My fault.
And blessed is the eunuch which with his hands have wrought no iniquity, nor imagined wicked things against Yahweh. For unto him shall be given the special gift of faith, and an inheritance in the temple of Yahweh, more acceptable to his mind.
Where you just start?
14.
You skipped 13.
Their offspring is cursed, wherefore blessed is the barren that is undefiled, which have not known the sinful bed. She shall have fruit in the visitation of souls. And blessed is the eunuch which with his hands have wrought no iniquity, nor imagined wicked things against Yahweh. For unto him shall be given the special gift of faith, and inheritance in the temple of Yahweh, more acceptable to his mind. For glorious is the fruit of good labors, and the root of wisdom shall never fall away. As for the children of adulterers, they shall not come to their perfection, and the seed of an unrighteous bed shall be rooted out.
We can drop it right there. We can drop it right there. That's the point. That's exactly what we're seeing with our people back in these times that refused to follow those ways. From there, let's go back. 1 Maccabees chapter 2, verse 1. 1 Maccabees chapter 2, verse 1. We're going to go to 26. further. So we're going to start to kind of speed it up. First Maccabees chapter 2, verse 1. In those days arose Mattathias, the son of John, the son of Simeon, a priest of the sons of Jored, from Jerusalem, and dwelt in Modin. And he had 5 sons, Johanan called Cadiz, Simon called Thasses, Judas, who was called Maccabeus, Eleazar called Abiram, and Jonathan, whose surname was Apphus. So these are names that we should be knowing. These are names that we should be teaching our children during this season. Not Santa Claus, not Rudolph, and Donner, and Blitzen, and
Frosty and all that.
yeah, and Black Pete. And Black Pete, if you know about him. We should, right, Swarthy Pete. These are the names that our children should be coming up in. And that's why we're doing this whole reading. We could go straight to chapter 4. But it's a whole backstory, and we need to know why we keep the holidays that we keep. Because when we were in the world, we knew exactly why we kept Christmas. We knew the whole backstory of Santa Claus. We knew all the cartoons that came on when it was getting close. The Grinch, the Snowman, the Frosty. We got to know the backstory of the feast dedication. We got to know about Mattathias, Judah, Johanan, Simon, Judas, Eleazar, all these men. This is what we got to know about. And it's got to be in the forefront of our mind. We got to know this without having to read it. The same way we could in the world, we could list off every single reindeer. When we was kids, we could list off every single one, no problem. We should be able to list off these names. Verse 6. And when he saw the blasphemies that were committed in Judah and Jerusalem, he said, Woe is me! Wherefore was I born to see this misery of my people and of the holy city, and to dwell there, when it was delivered into the hand of the enemy, and the sanctuary into the hand of strangers. Her temple is become as a man without glory. Her glorious vessels are carried away into captivity. Her infants are slain in the streets. Her young men with the sword of the enemy. What nation have not had a part in her kingdom and gotten of her spoil? So this, real quick, that's going to answer why all the nations are going to catch it in the end. Because we're seeing here, what nation hasn't had a hand? What nation have not had a part, in her kingdom and gotten of her spoils? Verse 11. All her ornaments are taken away. Of a free woman she has become a bondslave. And behold, our sanctuary, even our beauty and our glory, is laid waste, and the Gentiles have profaned it. To what end, therefore, shall we live any longer? Then Mattathias and his sons rent their clothes and put on sackcloth and mourned very sore. In the meanwhile, the king's officers, such as compelled the people to revolt, came into the city Modin to make them sacrifice. And when many of the Israelites came unto them, Mattathias also and his sons came together. Then answered the king's officers, and said to Mattathias on this wise, Thou art a ruler, and an honorable and great man in this city, and strengthened with sons and brethren. Now therefore come thou first, and fulfill the king's commandment, like as all the heathen have done. Yea, and the men of Judah also, and such as remain in Jerusalem. So shalt thou and thy house be in number of the king's friends, and thou and thy children shall be honored with silver and gold, and many rewards. Verse 19. Then Mattathias answered and spake with a loud voice, Though all nations that are under the king's dominion obey him, and fall away every one from the religion of their fathers, and give consent to his commandments, yet will I and my sons and my brethren walk in the covenant of our fathers.
What are you going to do?
Walk in the covenant of our fathers.
So no matter what they was going through, they decided they was going to walk under the covenant of their fathers, just like we should be doing today. We decide we're going to walk under the covenant of our fathers. Go ahead.
God forbid that we should forsake the law and the ordinances. Read that again.
Go ahead.
God forbid that we should forsake the law and the ordinances. We will not hearken to the king's words to go from our religion, either on the right hand or the left. Now when he had left speaking these words, there came one of the Jews in the sight of all the sacrifice on the altar which was at Moses, according to the king's commandment. Which thing when Mattathias saw, he was inflamed with zeal, and his reins trembled. Neither could he forbear to show his anger according to judgment. Wherefore he ran and slew him upon the altar. Also the king's commissioner, who compelled men to sacrifice, he killed at that time, and the altar he pulled down. Thus dealt he zealously for the law of God, like as Phinehas did unto Zimri, the son of Salom. Let's get that too. Numbers chapter 25, verse 1. Numbers chapter 25, verse 1. Mattathias, he was the same way we should be acting according to our forefathers that we read about. Mattathias at this time, he wasn't having it. He was acting just like his forefathers. Just like his Levites before him, back in the time of Moses. Numbers chapter 25, verse 1.
The book of Numbers, chapter 25, verse 1. And Yasharallah abode in Shittim, and the people began to commit whoredom with the daughters of Moab. And they called the people unto the sacrifices of their gods.
Unto what?
And they called the people unto the sacrifices of their gods.
And what they do?
And the people did eat and bowed down to their gods.
The same thing we was reading about the Greeks and the wicked Israelites doing in the time of the Greeks. Go ahead.
And Yasharallah joined himself unto Baal Peor, and the anger of Yahweh was kindled against Yasharallah.
Read.
And the power said unto Moses, take all the heads of the people and hang them up before Yahweh against the sun, that the fierce anger of Yahweh may be turned away from Yasharallah.
What? Read that again.
And Yahweh said unto Moses, take all the heads of the people and hang them up before Yahweh against the sun, that the fierce anger of Yahweh may be turned away from Yasharallah.
The Most High ain't going to punish nobody. The Most High doesn't kill nobody, people, children. He told Moses to have heads hanged up before the sun. That's like, you see heathens doing that when they conquer villages. They take the people and hang the heads on the spikes. Most High said, from following the heathen, go do this to the Israelites. Go ahead.
And Moses said unto the judges of Yasharallah, slay ye everyone his men that were joined unto Baal Peor.
Go ahead.
And behold, one of the children of Yasharallah came, brought unto his
Hold on, real quick, pause that. We shouldn't be yelling at people. We shouldn't be telling people they're wrong.
Okay.
We shouldn't be coming to our families' events and rebuke, well, we shouldn't. But when we did, we shouldn't have been there telling people that they shouldn't be keeping the holiday. We should let everybody be everybody. But what did that just say? Slay everyone his
That's what
man
he said.
that were
Kill
joined
everybody.
unto Baal Peor. So that's a light thing to get a rebuke.
Yeah.
That's light. You get mad at that, well, you just out of the spirit. Go ahead.
And Baal Peor, that's like you bow down to this Christmas tree. In the book of the two Babylons, it actually says that the Christmas tree is Baal Peor. So if you bow down to the Christmas tree, they were saying, kill you. Oh, I'm picking up a gift from under this Christmas tree. Kill him. He's got his kids picking up gifts from under this Christmas tree. Kill him. Because they bow down to Baal Peor. That was an offense by death right there.
Go ahead.
And behold, one of the children of Yasharallah came and brought unto his brethren a Midianitish woman in the sight of Moses, and in the sight of the congregation of the children of Yasharallah, who were weeping before the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. And when Phinehas, the son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron, the priest, saw it, he rose up from among the congregation and took a javelin in his hand. And he went after the man of Yasharallah into the tent and thrust both of them through, the man of Yasharallah and the woman through her belly. So the plague was stayed from the children of Yasharallah.
Keep going to 13.
And those that died in the plague were 24,000. And Yahweh spake unto Moses, saying, Phineas, the son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron, the priests have turned my wrath away from the children of Yahawahshi, while he was zealous for my sake among them, that I consume not the children of Yahawahshi in my jealousy. Wherefore say, behold, I give unto him my covenant of peace, and he shall have it, and his seed after him, even the covenant of an everlasting priesthood, before he was zealous for his power. Because he was zealous for his power and made an atonement for the children of Yahawahshi.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. Ain't nothing wrong with being zealous for righteousness and your power of the Most High Yahweh. Back to 1 Maccabees chapter 2, verse 27. 2 verse 27. And Mattathias cried throughout the city with a loud voice, saying, whosoever is zealous of the law and maintaineth the covenant, let him follow me. So he and his sons fled into the mountains and left all that ever they had in the city. Then many that sought after justice and judgment went down into the wilderness to dwell there, both they and their children and their wives and their cattle, because afflictions increased sore upon them. Now when it was told the king's servants and the host that was at Jerusalem in the city of David, that certain men who had broken the king's commandment were gone down into the secret places in the wilderness, they pursued after them a great number, and having overtaken them, they camped against them and made war against them on the Sabbath day. 33. And they said unto them, let that which ye have done hitherto suffice. Come forth and do according to the commandment of the king, and ye shall live. But they said, we will not come forth, neither will we do the king's commandment, to profane the Sabbath day. So then they gave them the battle with all speed. Howbeit they answered them not, neither cast they a stone at them, nor stopped the places where they lay hid, but said, let us die all in our innocency. Heaven and earth shall testify for us, that ye put us to death wrongfully. So they rose up against them in battle on the Sabbath, and they slew them with their wives and children and their cattle, to the number of 1,000 people. Now when Mattathias and his friends understood hereof, they mourned for them right sore. And one of them said to another, if we all do as our brethren have done, and fight not for our lives and laws against the heathen, they will now quickly root us out of the earth. At that time, therefore, they decreed, saying, whosoever shall come to make battle with us on the Sabbath day, we will fight against him. Neither will we die all, as our brethren that were murdered in the secret places. Then came there unto him a company of Assyrians, who were mighty men of Israel, even all such as were voluntarily devoted unto the law. Also all they that fled from persecution joined themselves unto them, and were a stay unto them. So they joined their forces, and smote sinful men in their anger, and wicked men in their wrath. But the rest fled to the heathen for succor. From there, go to Ezekiel chapter 9, verse 1 to 11. Just some more on seeing how righteous it is to revenge wickedness, and how the Most High is in favor of these mighty acts that our forefathers did during the time of Greece. Ezekiel 9, 1 to 11.
The book of Ezekiel, chapter 9, verse 1. He cried also in mine ears with a loud voice, saying, cause them that had charge over the city to draw near, even every man with his destroying weapon in his hand. And behold, 6 men came from the way of the higher gate, which lieth toward the north, and every man a slaughter weapon in his hand. And one man among them was clothed with linen, with a writer's inkhorn by his side. And they went in and stood beside the brazen altar. And the glory of Yahweh of Yahawahshi was gone up from the cherub, whereupon he was to the threshold of the house. And he called to the man clothed with linen, which had the writer's inkhorn by his side. And Yahweh said unto him, Go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, and set a mark upon the foreheads of the men that sigh and that cry for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof.
Read.
And to the others he said, In mine hearing, go ye after him through the city and smite. Let not your eyes spare, neither had ye pity.
And that's what our forefathers Mattathias and Judas and the Maccabees were doing. They were going through and slaying Israelites for following the ways of the heathen. Go ahead.
Slay utterly old and young, both maids and little children, and women, but come not near any man upon whom is the mark, and begin at my sanctuary.
And when you keep the Most High's ways, you're protected. He protects you from that death angel. Go ahead.
Then they began at the ancient men which were before the house. And he said unto them, Defile the house and fill the courts with the slain. Go ye forth. And they went forth and slew in the city. And it came to pass, while they were slaying them, and I was left, that I fell upon my face and cried, and said, Ah, Yahweh, my power, wilt thou destroy all the residue of Yasharallah and the pouring out of your fury upon Jerusalem? Then said he unto me, The iniquity of the house of Yasharallah and Yahawah is exceeding great, and the land is full of blood, and the city full of
and as it was then, it is today. Our people, we do what?
We're full of perverseness.
We kill each other every day. The land is full of blood. Go ahead.
The land is full of blood, and the city full of perverseness.
Your Suki Hanas, right? Your sexy, dirty reds, your Cardis, the one, the homo, Lil Nas X, Saucy Montana, Santana, Montana, Brokeback Montana. The land is full. Our people in the land is full of perverseness. Go ahead. What they say?
For they say, Yahweh hath forsaken the earth, and Yahweh seeth not.
And that's the vibe our people are moving in. That's what the vibe that the world is moving in. The Lord is forsaking the earth. He ain't watching. He don't see what we're doing. Right? But the Most High, He's going to take out all our people that keep the ways that He that revert back to the feast of the folly days. Back to eating of swine. That's the ones that's going to be Isaiah 66. Behind the garden cleansing themselves. Go ahead.
And as for me also, mine eyes shall not spare, neither will I have pity, but I will recompense their way upon their head.
Read.
And behold, the man clothed with linen, which had the inkhorn by his side, reported the matter, saying, I have done as thou hast commanded me.
Drop that, Matthew 22 and 9. You can go to Ezekiel 2. I get that, Matthew 22. Matthew 22 and 9. Ezekiel 2, verse 1. Matthew 22 and 9. Go ye therefore into the highways, and as many as ye shall find, bid to the marriage. And this is why we're trying to bid our people to the marriage. We're going into the highways to bring our people and say, and if possible, save them from the sword that's coming. Because we were put here, we were given this light and this knowledge to be watchmen. So we have to. That's why we go out into the highways and byways, all the different camps. We're trying to do the same thing that Mattathias did, but without the actual carnal sword, because we're in captivity now. But if we were in our kingdom and they were doing these things, we're supposed to be going through and slaughtering and putting this wickedness away instead of giving heed to it.
Let me say about that?
Yeah, that.
He makes a point there, because when you talk about the marriage, Yahawahshi said those that are bid to come to the marriage. In a marriage, what do you have in a marriage between the husband and the wife?
A covenant.
You have a covenant, right? That means the wife has to give up everything that she had out in the world and everything she was doing out in the world and come into this covenant with the husband. So the same thing with the Most High and Yahawahshi is asking us to do. If the Most High is calling you from out the world into the marriage, let's say into the truth, into this marriage, you got to give up everything that's out there in the world. You got to give it up, okay? Because just like the scripture says, when you read on down about that marriage parable, the parable of the marriage, and it says you had some that didn't come in the right garment. What happened to him? He was cast out. And there shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. And that's talking about our people. It's not the world, the nations, right? It's talking about our people. Some of our people are going to be cast out of the marriage. Right. He's talking about the ones who know the truth and understand who they are and everything, right? But they still going to come to the marriage in the wrong wedding garment. Think about that, right? You know the truth, but you're going to come in a different mindset that Yahawahshi is going to reject. So just like, the brother, what's his name? The basketball player that his wife wouldn't accept the prenup. Was Steven Jackson? Y'all know about that? But Steven Jackson, at the wedding now, his wife wouldn't sign the contract. Wife wouldn't sign the covenant. And what did he say? Bye. It's over. Bye-bye. Everybody was there. The wedding was on. Priest, everybody. He said, goodbye. I'm not married. She didn't want to sign it. So cast out. I think we did the right thing. Right? So now what do you think Yahawahshi is going to do?
He's going to cast you out. He's going to cast you out. Your garment stained.
Right. Remove yourself from me. I never need you.
Yeah. So remember that a marriage means that you got to accept a certain contract to come into this wedding, this unity, right? Because you're unifying with your husband, and the wife is unifying with her husband, and you're coming together. So the same thing Yahawahshi is saying. You're going to come together with Yahawahshi. He said, he that gathered with me, but he that is not, you scattereth abroad. So you can't say, Lord, Lord, and then you're not going to do what Yahawahshi say do. But Yahawahshi, I taught in your name. I was in the streets. He said, I don't care. Depart from me, because you're a worker of iniquity. That's what he's going to say. Okay,
we the bride, we got to prepare ourselves with our spot and wrinkle.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's what you got to come to the marriage with. You got to be that wife without spot and wrinkle.
And you made that point that you got to leave everything, right?
Right.
And in the time of Maccabees, that's what did they do? In 28, it said he and his sons fled into the mountains.
Right.
And these times we got to flee into the mountains. What's the mountains? The mountain of the Lord is following these ways. We're fleeing into the mountains. Same way Mattathias in that time, they flee to the mountains and they left our city. And that's what the point you had made. What you just said. Not signing the covenant. Yeah. To not sign the covenant. Go ahead and pick back up. Ezekiel 2.
Verse 3. Salakia. Verse 2. And the Spirit entered into me when he spake unto me, and set me upon my feet. And I heard him that spake unto me. And he said unto me, Son of man, I send thee unto the children of Yasharahla, to a rebellious nation that have rebelled against me. They and their fathers have transgressed against me, even unto this day. For they are impudent children and stiff-hearted. I do send thee unto them, and thou shalt say unto them, Thus saith Yahweh thy power. And they, whether they will hear, or whether they will forbear, for they are a rebellious house, yet shall know that there have been a prophet among them.
Read.
And thou, son of man, be not afraid of them, neither be afraid of their words. Though briars and thorns be with thee, and though thou dwell among scorpions, be not afraid of their words, nor be dismayed at their looks, though they be a rebellious house, and they shall speak and thou shalt speak my words unto them, whether they will hear or whether they will forbear, for they are most rebellious. But thou, son of man, hear what I say unto thee. Be not thou rebellious, like that rebellious house. Open thy mouth and eat that I give thee. And when I look...
Okay, drop that. Eat that I give thee. So read this word, eat this word, and keep Hanukkah. Remember the Maccabees and keep the Feast of Dedication. Back to First Maccabees chapter 2, picking up verse 45. Then Mattathias and his friends on the altar. And what children in the coast of Israel, uncircumcised, those they circumcised valiantly. They pursued also after the proud men, and the work prospered in their hand. So they recovered the law out of the hand of the Gentiles, and out of the hand of kings. And neither suffered they the sinner to triumph. And that's what we're doing today when we're coming out of the folly days and keeping the real holy days. We are recovering the law out of the hand of the Gentiles.
And we're rebuking our neighbors, and we're not suffering the sin upon them. He made them circumcised. He made them go back to the laws. And he made sure he refined the culture and took the law out of the Gentiles.
Verse 49. Now when the time drew near that Mattathias should die, he said unto his sons, now have pride and rebuke gotten the strength, and the time of destruction, and the wrath of indignation. Now therefore, my sons, be ye zealous for the law, and give your lives for the covenant of your fathers. Call to remembrance what acts our fathers did in their time. So shall ye receive great honor and an everlasting name. Verse 52. Was not Abraham found faithful in temptation, and it was imputed unto him for righteousness? Joseph in the time of his distress kept the commandment and was made Lord of Egypt. Phinehas our father, being zealous and fervent, obtained the covenant of an everlasting priesthood. Yahawahshi for fulfilling the word, and this is Joshua, who came after Moses, for fulfilling the word was made a judge in Israel. Caleb for bearing witness before the congregation received the heritage of the land. David for being merciful possessed the throne of an everlasting kingdom. Elijah for being zealous and fervent for the law was taken up into heaven. Ananias, Azarias, and Mishael by believing were saved out of the flame. Daniel for his innocency was delivered from the mouth of lions. And thus consider ye throughout all ages that none that put their trust in him shall be overcome. Fear not then the words of a sinful man, for his glory shall be dung and worms. Today he shall be lifted up, and tomorrow he shall not be found, because he is returned into his dust, and his thought is come to nothing. Wherefore, ye my sons, be valiant, and show yourselves men in the behalf of the law, for by it shall ye obtain glory. Drop down 1 Maccabees chapter 3, verse 1. Chapter 3, verse 1. Then his son Judas, called Maccabeus, rose up in his stead, and all his brethren helped him, and so did all they that held his father. And they fought with cheerfulness the battle of Israel. So he got his people great honor, and put on a breastplate as a giant, and girt his warlike harness about him. And he made battles, protecting the host with his sword. In his axe he was like a lion, and like a lion's whelp, roaring for his prey, pursued the wicked, and sought them out, and burned up his people. Wherefore the wicked shrunk for fear of him, and all the workers of iniquity were troubled, because salvation prospered in his hand. He grieved also many kings, and made Jacob glad with his axe, and his memorial is blessed forever. Chapter 3, drop down to verse 25. And we're reading about, that was Judas. We're reading about Judas, who was basically took over after Maccabees. What I say, verse 25. Then began, are you ready? Go ahead, pick it up.
The book of 1 Maccabees chapter 3, verse 25. Then began the fear of Judas and his brethren, and an exceeding great dread to fall upon the nations round about them, insomuch as his fame came unto the king, and all nations talked of the battles of Judas. Now when King Antiochus heard these things, he was full of indignation. Wherefore he sent and gathered together all the forces of his realm, even a very strong army. He opened also his treasure and gave his soldiers pay for a year, commanding them to be ready whensoever he should need them. Nevertheless, when he saw that the money of his treasures failed, and that the tributes in the country were small because of the dissension and plague which he had brought upon the land, and taking away the laws which had been of old time, he feared that he should not be able to bear the charges any longer, nor to have such gifts to give so liberally as he did before. For he had abounded above the kings that were before him. Wherefore, being greatly perplexed in his mind, he determined to go into Persia, there to take the tributes and to gather much money. So he left Lysias, a nobleman, and one of the blood royal, to oversee the affairs of the king from the river Euphrates unto the borders of Egypt, and to bring up his son Antiochus until he came again. Moreover, he delivered unto him the half of his forces and the elephants, and gave him charge of all things that he would have done, as also concerning them that dwelt in Judah and Jerusalem, to wit that he should send an army against them to destroy and root out the strength of Yasharallah and the remnant of Jerusalem, and to take away their memorial from that place, and that he should place strangers in all their quarters and divide their land by lot. So the king took the half of the forces that remained and departed from Antioch, his royal city, the 147th year, and having passed the river Euphrates, he went through the high countries. Then Lysias chose Ptolemy, the son of Diomedes, Nicanor, and Georgius, mighty men of the king's friends. And with them he sent forth 40,000 footmen and 7,000 horsemen.
Real quick. That Georges. Read that Georges again.
Then Lysias chose Ptolemy, the son of Diomedes, Nicanor, and Georgius, mighty men of the king's friends.
Real quick, go to 2 Maccabees chapter 10, verse 14. Just real quick. I'll read it. 2 Maccabees chapter 10, verse 14. But when Gorgias, or Gorgias, we call him Gorgias. Gorgias was governor of the holds, he hired soldiers and nursed war continually with the Jews. So just to make sure everybody's clear, what we're reading, the lead up to Hanukkah, Judas is winning all these battles and destroying the heathens. And the heathens, they're not giving up. They're spending all their money, all their efforts, gathering the largest army they can to come and take out our people back in BC times. The same people that we're taught in school that they're so great. All the Greeks. Oh, they're so smart. This time, we just read that Lysias, he gathered up all these generals and Gorgias nursed war continually with the Jews. And verse 15, and there with the Idumeans out the Edomites, having gotten into their hands the most commodious holds, kept the Jews occupied, and receiving those that were banished from Jerusalem, they went about to nourish war. Back to 1 Maccabees. I just wanted to get that we're seeing. It's always the Edomites. It's always the number one contender. Has always been our brother Esau. You're at verse 38. Chapter 3, verse 38.
I'm at verse 40. No, I'm at verse 39.
Come on, read that one again.
Verse 39. And with them he sent 40,000 footmen and 7,000 horsemen to go into the land of Judah and to destroy it as the king commanded. So they went forth with all their power and came and pitched by Emmaus in the plain country. And the merchants of the country, hearing the fame of them, took silver and gold very much with servants and came into the camp to buy the children of Yasharallah for slaves, and power also of Syria and of the land of the Philistines joined themselves unto them.
What we see in here is that it's never been a such thing as us selling ourselves into slavery and being no buyers. Just a quick point. Right? Go ahead.
Now when Judas and his brethren saw that miseries were multiplied, and that they forces did encamp themselves in their borders, for they knew how the king had given commandment to destroy the people and utterly abolish them, they said one to another, let us restore the decayed fortune of our people, and let us fight for our people and the sanctuary. Then was the congregation gathered together that they might be ready for battle, and that they might pray and ask mercy and compassion. Now Jerusalem lay void as a wilderness. There was none of her children that went in out or out. The sanctuary also was trodden down.
So what we're reading now is we're getting the victories and we're coming back to restore our sanctuary. Right? And we're turning back to the Most High. Go ahead.
And aliens kept the stronghold. The heathen had their habitation in that place, and joy was taken from Jacob. Harp ceased, wherefore they put themselves together, and came to Mashpah over against Jerusalem. For in Mashpah was the place where they prayed aforetime in Yasharallah.
Zephaniah 2:1. Quick precept. I got it. Gather yourselves together, yea, gather together. O nation, not desire. Before the decree bring forth, before the day pass as the chaff, before the feast anger of Yahweh come upon you, before the day of the Lord's anger come upon you. Seek ye Yahweh, all ye meek of the earth, which have brought his judgment. Seek righteousness, seek meekness. It may be ye shall be hid in the day of Yahweh's anger. And that's what we were doing then. Go ahead, drop back. And this is what Hanukkah is about. Hanukkah is about, another feast is about coming together. It's about coming together under Christ. It's about coming together under the ways of the Most High and keeping his laws and living righteously. It's about rededicating ourselves to the Most High. Every year we have Hanukkah, we have Hanukkah come. We should be rededicating our own selves, because we're temples of the Most High.
Good.
Right? And that's what we're reading about. Is they're coming back to the Most High. They're gathering themselves together. They're praying to the Most High. Go ahead.
Verse 47. Then they fasted that day and put on sackcloth and cast ashes upon their heads and rent their clothes and laid upon the book of the law.
Hey, what?
Laid open the book of the law.
Yeah, so we're laying open the book of the law. Go ahead.
Wherein the heathen had sought to paint the likeness of their images. They bought also the priest's garments and the first fruits and the tithes and the Nazarites. They stirred up who had accomplished their days.
Read.
Then cried they with a loud voice toward heaven, saying, what shall we do with these, and whither shall we carry them away? For thy sanctuary is trodden down and profane, and thy priests are in heaviness and brought low. And lo, the heathen are assembled together against us to destroy us. What things they imagine against us thou knowest. How shall we be able to stand against them except thou, O Yahweh, be our help? Then sounded they with trumpets and cried with a loud voice. And after this, Judas ordained captains over the people, even captains over thousands, and over hundreds, and over 50s, and over 10s. But as for such as were building houses, or had betrothed wives, or were planting vineyards, or were filthful, those he commanded that they should return, every man to his own house according to the law. So the camp were moved and pitched upon the south side of Emmaus. And Judas said, arm yourselves and be valiant men, and see.
Arm yourselves and what?
Arm yourselves and be valiant men, and see that ye be in readiness against the morning, that ye may fight with these nations that are assembled together against us to destroy us and our sanctuary. For it is better for us to die in battle than to behold the calamities of our people and our sanctuary. Nevertheless, as the will of Yahweh is in heaven, so let him do.
Drop down chapter 4, verse 13.
Chapter 4, verse 13. Wherefore they went out of the camp to battle, but they that were with Judas sounded their trumpets. So they joined battle, and the heathen, being discomfited, fled in the plain.
So the Israelites come back together and get strengthened in the Most High. And that's what we're picking up. And now they're going to battle against the heathen to restore the temple, to restore Jerusalem. Go ahead.
Howbeit all the hindmost of them were slain with the sword, for they pursued them unto Garzara and unto the plains of Idumea.
Plains of where?
The plains of Idumea.
This holiday, it represents war with Esau. Just reiterating that. Go ahead.
And Azalos and Jamedia, so that there were slain of them upon 3,000 men. This done, Judas returned again with his host for pursuing them. And they said to the people, be not greedy of the spoil, insomuch as there is a battle before us. And Gorgias and his hosts are here by us in the mountain. But stand ye now against our enemies.
And this real quick, that's something that we gotta be mindful of as well. Coming out of the world, not being, in a slumber anymore. We gotta see that we don't become greedy of the spoils too early. You're seeing here, we were getting the battle and the victory. The same way we coming out of the world, we're getting the battle and the victory. We're tearing down the strongholds.
Good.
We're feeling renewed. We're back. We feel like we're back in the Most High's grace, like we just one step away from the kingdom. We got to make sure we keep in our mind we can't grab the spoils yet. We got to keep our foot on the throttle. We got to continue to endure and keep the commandments and look out for temptations when we wake up and be prepared to fight and not give in to the old ways. We gotta keep that in mind. Go ahead.
This done, Judas returned again with his hosts for pursuing them, and said to the people, be not greedy of the spoil so much as there is a battle before us. And Gorgias and his hosts are here by us in the mountain, but stand ye now against our enemies and overcome them. And after this ye may boldly take the spoils. As Judas was yet speaking these words, there appeared a part of them looking out of the mountain, who when they perceived that the Jews had put their host to flight and were burning the tents, for the smoke that was seen declared what was done, when therefore they perceived these things, they were sore afraid. And seeing also the host of Judas in the plain ready to fight, they fled every one into the land of strangers. Then Judas returned to spoil the tents, where they got much gold and silver, and blue silk, and purple of the sea, and great riches. After this, they went home and sung a song of thanksgiving, and praised Yahweh in heaven.
Hold on. After what? After this, they did what?
After this, they went home and sung a song of thanksgiving.
No, after they were conquered and forced into slavery.
After this, they went home and sung a song of thanksgiving.
This is when we celebrate Thanksgiving. When we overcome our enemies. when our enemies are put under our foot, that's when we keep Thanksgiving. Go ahead.
And the Thanksgiving that the people just celebrate, it represents our enemies overcoming us, so we definitely shouldn't have been taking no part in that.
Right. Right, exactly. We supposed to be no thanks, no giving.
God.
I'll send you the link. No. Go ahead.
And this they went home and sung a song of thanksgiving and prayed because it is good, because his mercy endured forever. Thus Yahshua had great deliverance that day.
And we're going to drop down to verse 36. But if in your own time you can read it, they just come back again. It's same thing. We crush them. In between this verse and 36. Go ahead. No. Oh, you want me to pick up?
Yeah, go
all right. So, 1 Maccabees chapter 4, verse 36. Then said Judas and his brethren, behold, our enemies are discomfited. Let us go up to cleanse and to dedicate the sanctuary. So what are we celebrating? The feast of what? The dedication of our sanctuary. That's what Hanukkah is. Right? That's what Hanukkah means, ain't it?
Dedication.
Khan.
Feast of dedication.
Or Kanaka, how you say it? Khan. Dedication. 37. Young men, what are we celebrating? What are we celebrating?
Feast dedication.
Right.
You may hear some people say Feast of Lights. But the correct way to say it is Hanukkah, Feast of Dedication.
Khan. All praise. Verse 37. Upon this all the hosts assembled themselves together and went up into Mount Zion. And when they saw the sanctuary desolate, and the altar profaned, and the gates burned up, and shrubs growing in the courts as in a forest, or in one of the mountains, yea, and the priest's chambers pulled down, they rent their clothes and made great lamentation, and cast ashes upon their heads, and fell down flat to the ground upon their faces, and blew an alarm with the trumpets, and cried toward heaven. Then Judas appointed certain men to fight against those that were in the fortress, until he had cleansed the sanctuary. So he chose priests of blameless conversation, such as had pleasure in the law, who cleansed the sanctuary and bare out the defiled stones into an unclean place. And when as they consulted what to do with the altar of burnt offerings, which was profane, they thought it best to pull it down, lest it should be a reproach to them, because the heathen had defiled it, wherefore they pulled it down.
But, so like he said, like he just read about cleansing the sanctuary. See, Judah was diligent in making sure that the sanctuary was clean, because of what the Antiochus did. He put all of the defiled products inside the sanctuary, right? So it was all defiled, man. Swine, everything, idols, everything inside the sanctuary. So you bring it to date now, so we know about the Feast of Dedication now, right? And of course, we're not in our land now. So what temple do you have to cleanse now? Celebrating the Feast of Dedication, huh? Yeah, yourself.
Yeah.
So just like Judas had to clean out the temple and clean out all the pork, and clean out all the idols, clean out everything, right? Right. So now today you bring yourself and you do the same thing Judas did. You cleanse yourself out of all that uncleanliness, defiled things that's in your temple. You clean it out, and then you dedicate. What do you dedicate? Yourself. You dedicate yourself to the Most High. That's why in Romans 12 he said, "What? Become a living sacrifice. Dedicate yourself. Sacrifice yourself to the Most High. This is what the Most High wants." Just like you were saying about the marriage, right? A wife has to do what? Because really, when you read the scriptures, a wife is a possession to her husband. She has to what? Dedicate herself to her husband now. So that's why there's a contract. There's a marriage contract, because she's dedicating herself to the Most High, to her husband. Right. And we as a nation, and aren't we the Most High's wife? See, when people say, the Most High got a wife up there. No, the Most High's wife is Israel. So we're married to the Most High. But the Most High kicked us out and divorced us for a time being. Why? Because we committed adultery, or a spiritual adultery, bowing down idols. So the Most High kicked us out. But he said, return back to me now, O Israel. See? So even though we were defiled, he's asking us to return back. So how do you return back? Well, it's like Judas and them been doing. You clean your temple up. That's why he said, when you come to the truth, put on the new man now, right? Put on the new person, that new individual. So I don't know how them brothers, that royal house of David, them brothers, them new brothers, talking about they're the royal house of David. They say, you know, they're eating pork, eating all kinds of defiled things. Had a whole buffet of pork and everything. Talking about they dedicating that to the Most High. You know what I'm saying? Get out of here. So that's an abomination. So you can't bring an abominable temple, right, to the Most High to dedicate, right? Most High's not dealing with that. He don't want you. That's why it's going to be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Does a husband want? You're going to kick her ass out. I don't want you. If your wife sneaks out and commits adultery or whatever, and the husband finds out, which the Bible calls what? The spirit of what? Jealousy. You ever read that? Reading the scripture, the spirit of jealousy. And he finds out, and it's true. Does he want it anymore? So you think the Most High don't want you if you defile? You think the Most High, he didn't want Israel once we defile ourselves. He said, get out of my land. Right? Get out. And he kicked us out in fury and indignation, the scripture says. Get out of my land. And just like, again, the Most High, the creator of heaven and earth, has everything. The Most High don't need money. The Most High created everything. Right? He said, I'm going to give you the land of Canaan, which is the land of Israel, and it's going to be a land flowing with milk and honey. Men's going to have everything. I mean, when you read Romans 11, we had the wealth. He said the Gentiles got rich when we fell. So the earth was made for our sakes. So again, the Most High is going to make you do what? Most High said, I'm going to give you all that. The whole earth and everything, the land, the riches, the wealth, and everything in the earth, the rulership, everything. I'm not going to give you that good defile. You got to sign this contract. This covenant, right? You got to sign this covenant. Then I'll give it to you. Yeah. So that's what the Most High is asking us to do. Go ahead.
All praise. So, what we just read is we read 43. They cleansed the sanctuary and bear out defiled stones, right? And then he consulted what to do with the altar and the burnt offering down that is them because the heathen defiled it. How can you do that today? You're tearing down the altar that's in your mind, and you're just getting rid of it. You're wiping that slate clean. That's how you're cleansing your ways by ceasing to do evil.
Praying and fasting.
And by the word. Get that Psalm 119:9. Then I'm going to get this Isaiah 1:16.
The book of Psalms 119:9. Wherewithal shall a young man cleanse his ways? By taking heed thereunto according to thy word.
To what?
Wherewithal shall a young man cleanse his way? By taking heed thereto according to thy word.
Taking heed according to thy word. You're just getting rid of the old altar. It's been defiled. That old mind has been defiled. We're not keeping none of it. We're not changing Thanksgiving to Christ Day.
Or Halloween.
Thanksgiving, we're going to eat just like we ate the Wednesday before. We're eating the same thing. We're not having the turkeys and definitely ain't having the pork. And the just all that madness. Isaiah 1:16. Wash you, make you clean. Put away the evil of your doings from before mine eyes. Cease to do evil. Learn to do well. Seek judgment. Relieve the oppressed. Judge the fatherless. Plead for the widow. Come now and let us howl. Though your sins be as white as snow, though they be red like crimson, they shall be as wool. We got to continue to do this. We have to rededicate ourselves to doing this every feast of Hanukkah. To getting rid of this stone. We're finding more old stones in the sanctuary. We're getting rid of them. Huh? Verse 46. Verse 46. And laid up the stones in the mountains. Back to Maccabees, chapter 4. And laid up the stones in the mountain of the temple in a convenient place until there should come a prophet to show what should be done with them. Then they took whole stones according to the law. You know what that just made me think of? This might be irrelevant, but put the defiled stones in a convenient place till a prophet shall know what to do with them. That kind of like, it makes me think about the wheat and the tares. The tares are going to be amongst us looking like wheat, but then who's going to separate them? And do what? Cast them into the fire? Yeah, that's, I just thought about that. But to not be that, if we're going to be wheat, every dedication, we got to rededicate ourselves to washing us, making us cleansed, and ceasing to do evil. Verse 47. Then they took whole stones according to the law and built a new altar. So we're building up a whole new altar. According to the former. And made up the sanctuary. According to the former. What was the former? The law. No law done away with. We're building our new altar in our mind by the same way we built the old altar. So we was built up in the law of God before. It's the same thing. No law done away with. Right? Verse 48. And made up the sanctuary and the things that were within the temple and hallowed the court. They made also new holy vessels, and into the temple they brought the candlestick and the altar of burnt offerings and of incense and the table. And upon the altar they burned incense, and the lamps that were upon the candlestick they lighted, that they might give light in the temple. So this is why they also refer to it the Feast of Lights. Yeah. See, we find how to celebrate, why things were done in the Word.
Right.
Give light in the temple. This is what our forefathers did for the feast in the time of dedication.
But also, the light in the temple now is what?
The
Word.
Being back in
and
the Word.
Who's the temple? You. So now you're going to receive that light, the Most High, Yahawahshi, and the truth that the Most High give us into your temple.
Chapter 50, verse 51. Furthermore, they set the loaves upon the table, and spread out the veils, and finished all the works which they had begun to make. Now on the 25th day of the 9th month, which is called the month Caslu. So in ancient time, this month was called Caslu. Boys, this month was called Caslu. December was called Caslu.
At least a portion of it.
Well, we'll get into that. But for the sake of December 25th, Christmas. In ancient time, they was doing the Saturnalia we read before, the month of Caslu, December 25th. This rededicating we're seeing is done when? That same day, the 25th of the month Caslu. In the 148th year, they rose up betimes in the morning and offered sacrifice according to the law upon the new altar of burnt offerings which they had made. So like we're celebrating the 8th, because we go by what calendar?
Gregorian.
Because the Gregorian, so what we know is the 8th of December now is would have been the 25th of Caslu. And that's why we celebrated the 8th, to anybody that doesn't know. The Esau, they still doing the 25th, that's all. They're keeping it consistent. They've got this calendar now, the month is December, and you see they're still doing the 25th. We come back into the truth and we learned that the 8th is the 25th of Caslu. That's why we do the 8th. But in ancient time, this was the same day. They did their festival the 25th of Caslu. We read that before. We were dedicating it the 25th of Caslu. So that's what we know now. We know it's the 8th of December. And it changes like every year, right? Like 1 year is the 10th, whatever. That's because we're doing it off of the, you say Gregorian.
Yeah,
the calendar now. December and all that.
Oh, well,
Gregorian calendar.
actual Gregorian.
That's the Gregorian.
Yeah, that's the Gregorian calendar rather than now.
Because
right.
actual December is really the number of
10.
for 10.
10.
Right.
But anyway, through Esau changing, let's get that, changing the times real quick.
Right.
Through Esau changing the times, the calendar has changed a little bit. So, Slovakia, we're still on the Gregorian. But before their changes, we've figured that it's the 8th. 8th is when it really is. Get that.
The book of Daniel, chapter 7. Speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws and they shall be given into his
Say
hand.
what?
Seek to change times and laws.
So they've been changing their calendar around. If you look into the history of the Gregorian and the other ones, it's always just been these Edomites getting up there and deciding, let's take away these days, let's add some days. They've been changing time. Let's tell them the law's done away with. The Sabbath is on Sunday, changing the times and laws. That's what Esau's done. That's what he's been doing. So in ancient time, they was doing it the 25th. So now they just keep that date. We got the 8th because we're going according to the ancient time. Con? Verse 53. And offered sacrifice according to the law upon the new altar of burnt offerings which they had made. Look at what time and what day the heathen profaned it. Even in that was it dedicated with songs and citherns and harps and cymbals. So that's what I was talking about. We did the same thing that found it in the ancient time days when this was happening. That's the same day that we dedicated and rededicated. Verse 55. Then all the people fell down upon their faces, worshiping and praising the God of heaven who had given them good success. And so they kept the dedication of the altar 8 days. So this is why it's an 8-day feast.
Good.
And offered burnt offerings with gladness and sacrificed the sacrifice of deliverance and praise. Look real quick, Isaiah 33 and 5. They sacrificed, but just getting spiritual and how we do it today. In ancient time, they rededicated, they did some actual animal sacrifices, but it's called the sacrifice of deliverance and praise. Deliverance, that's just another word, salvation. That's salvation. Read that.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 33, verse 5. Yahweh is exalted, for he dwelleth on high. He hath filled Zion with judgment and righteousness. And wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times. And strength of salvation.
And what?
And strength and salvation. The fear of Yahweh is his treasure.
Wisdom and knowledge. Every year we're rededicating ourselves to the wisdom and knowledge. The strength of the salvation. The sacrifice and deliverance and praise. Back to verse 57. They decked also the forefront of the temple. So I know a lot of us want to know how to decorate. I mean, one way we can just follow what's written. So we're going to see how they decorated right now. They decked also the forefront of the temple with crowns of gold and with shields, and the gates and the chambers they renewed and hanged doors upon them. So, we can get our menorahs going. We can decorate with some crowns and whatever you really feel. That's not what the heathens do. We're not doing Christmas decoration. Anything that doesn't violate the laws of God. But if you want to just follow what the word says, they was doing crowns and shields. And they lit up the menorahs. That's what you can decorate like that. You can really get in and do your thing. Verse 58. Thus was there very great gladness among the people, for that the reproach of the heathen was put away. Moreover, Judas and his brethren with the whole congregation of Israel ordained that the days of the dedication of the altar should be kept in their season from year to year by the space of 8 days, from the 25th day of the month Caslu, with mirth and gladness. At that time also they builded up the Mount Zion with high walls and strong towers round about, lest the Gentiles should come and tread it down as they had done before. So build up your walls around you. Build yourself up in the spirit and keep pushing and doing the charge of the Most High and building up your walls and fighting against the heathens. Verse 61. And they set there a garrison to keep it, and fortified Besor to preserve it, that the people might have a defense against who? Idumea. The Edomites. The USAs.
And y'all got to spiritually put up your wall right nowadays so that you got a defense against Idumea. All the stuff that's going around. All their cultures, their philosophies. When you go to school, children, you got to put up your wall against the stuff that they try to teach you in the classroom, all the miseducation and stuff. They're trying to teach you about the holidays nowadays. You know, it's time for you to spiritually put up your walls. You understand?
Con. And that. So that's the Feast of Dedication class. Next week will be.
I'm gonna go over again next.
You're going. I figured that. Next week though, we're going to be having the Feast of Dedication here. The elder will be going over it again, like you just said. Feast of Dedication right here. Next Saturday, the 9th?
Yeah,
or 8th?
it's the 9th.
So next Saturday, the 9th at 12 o'clock, but we'll be going to 6 instead of the usual 3 o'clock.
They're gonna be food and everything.
There'll be food and everything, so, you know, everybody in the class, if you didn't know, you know now. You know, those of you online, if you're in the area, Newcastle, Wilmington, Delaware, come out and congregate. You know, if you got gas to drive and you're a little far away and you want to come congregate, come congregate.
And time to start bring the chicken up.
Yeah, we're going to have some chicken. We're not going to have any swine. We're not going to have any crabs or lobster or anything defiled. Also, want to finish out with some the closeout of the coat drive. So the coat drive, we have a date for it, right?
Yes,
December 16th. We are still taking donations. If you it's in your heart to donate, either coats or cash, you can bring the coats here to Rose Hill Community Center. If you want to make cash donations, you want to give alms that way, you can do it through Cash App. And the Cash App is for the coat drive is $BDANI01. $BDANI Kind, appreciate that. $BDANIE01. Gotta get that right. You want to like market coat drive or something you said before? Earmark it, coat drive, and you can send alms that way. If you would like to support the camp for, you know, room rent, flyers, you know, things we need to do to ministry, you can donate through Cash App as well at Hebrew Chosen Elect. Hebrew Chosen Elect.
It's called cash tag.
Is it cash tag? Okay. Money sign cash tag. Yeah, but if it's in your heart, the Most High loves a cheerful giver. So if it's in your heart, donate. You know, it's very important. If it's not in your heart, just don't even donate. Don't send any donations if you're gonna want it back, or if it's not sincere, don't donate, because the Most High, He doesn't accept those types of offers of charity. Also the address. So if you're in the area, is Rose Hill Community Center, 19 Lamson Lane, Newcastle, Delaware, room 110B. That's the address for the feast next week as well. But if you want to come to Sabbath class, we're here 12 to 3 every Shabbat, except for the 16th coming up. The 16th we'll have the coat drive. We will not be here in class. So that's for everybody online who might be watching, and everybody in the room. The coat drive is the 16th. We don't got the room the 16th. We'll be doing the coat drive. That's why we got the room from 12 to 6 next weekend. I think I got everything with that. So I want to end by saying, I want to give all praise, glory, and honor to the Most High Yahweh, in the name of His only begotten Son, Yahawahshi. Mention the Hebrew Summit. In the name of His only begotten Son, Yahawahshi. Also, one more thing, the Hebrew Summit. So, the Hebrew Summit will be in Tampa, Florida, right?
Yeah.
Tampa, Florida. The dates are
It's January 25th to the 28th.
January 25th to the 28th.
I'm going to make another announcement.
Well, yeah, it'll be another announcement, but that's the summit coming up, January 25th to 28th in Tampa, Florida.
And if they want to give, it's cash tag Mashra Yashala. I'm going to say it next week.
Yeah, next week we'll get that.
Next week.
But kind, so that's that. I covered everything, I believe, so we're going to say to those of you online, Shabbat Shalom and Kwam Yashala.
Kwam Yashala!